Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today we are going to be ranking Season 14 of Classic Doctor Who. So we're going to be looking at Tom Baker in one of his best seasons, the final season of the Hinchcliffe era. There are 6 stories to look at, so let's get started. Starting in last place with the Mask of Mandragora. And make no doubts about it, this is a good story. I really enjoy it. It's just let down a little bit by the ending. But there is some good stuff going on in here. I like the prince in the story. I love his thirst for knowledge. I love that he is very intelligent. I could have seen him being a companion, possibly. He's one of those what I call lost companions, people that could have been companions maybe in a parallel universe or an alternate reality. Because you could have seen him somehow, leaving and traveling with a doctor. I think he'd have made a good companion. The actor does a good job playing him. Tom and Sarah are great together in this, like they always are. I love that it at least it mentions and acknowledges the bit about how Sarah can understand them even though they're speaking Italian. She's like, wait a minute, I'm speaking Italian right now? And the Classic Who doesn't really touch on that often about, speaking different languages or alien languages. So I like the fact that it's at least kind of acknowledged here. That's pretty neat. I like that we get humorous Tom and serious Tom in it. I love that scene when he runs up to the Count and he's sword fighting with the Prince. And he's like, you can't count, Count. I love that line. You can't count, Count. It's my favorite line from the whole episode. I love it. But then there's that other part, which is also my other favorite. I have 2 favorites. That bit when the Count is talking to him about, can you see the future? Sometimes. Can you see my future? No. Why not? Because you don't have a future. Not if you don't listen to me. I was like, ooh, Tom Baker's got a serious face on. The ending is a little silly. When he pretty much just drains this creature, this all-powerful creature that's giving this guy its energy. When it's shocking him and he's just got the metal plate on and the thing just keeps shocking him in the metal plate, which is absorbing it, I'd have been like, I'll shock him in the head. I'll shock him in the foot. I'll shock him in the arm. No, it just keeps hitting him right in the chest. It's a little silly and convenient. But that's really my only complaint. It just seems like he beats them a little too easy after... Considering the threat that the Mandragora and everything is built up to be, I feel like the Doctor beats it a little too easily. Feels kind of like modern Who there. I do like that bit at the end when the Doctor's just like, and I want a salami sandwich. And then at the end you see him holding a wrapped up salami. He actually did get his salami. I don't know. That tickles me pink. It's a good story. Next on the list is The Hand of Fear. The only thing really holding this one back is episode 4. Drops off a bit. The first 3 episodes are really good. Again, Elizabeth Sladen and Tom Baker are really on point here. The first 3 episodes are nice. It's a great build-up to figuring out what's going on. I love the female version of Eldrad. I think the actress playing her does a really good job. Really great makeup on her. I love that scene when Sarah and Tom are talking to each other, that bit about, well, I worry about you. I worry about you too. You be careful. We'll both be careful. It's so nice just to see how close they are. Episode 4, it kind of loses me a little bit when they get on the other planet. The male Eldrad is obviously Steven, the same guy who does Omega. And much like my complaint in The Daemons, anytime I see him doing another role, his voice is so recognizable that I always just think of Omega. I mentioned this when I was talking about The Daemons. It pulls me out of the story a little bit because all I can think is, that's Omega. That's the same guy who voices Omega. That's very obviously Omega's voice. It's a very booming voice, but it's too recognizable, and it pulls me out of the story a bit. Plus that bit where Eldrad trips over the Doctor's scarf and falls into the pit is a little fake looking. It looks so staged, and it's also a little convenient. He just trips over it, and it's like something out of a Scooby-Doo cartoon, The actual farewell between the Doctor and Sarah Jane is really, really well done. I mean, it's subtle in ways too. It's one of those farewells where there's a lot not being said, and I really like that. It's not my favorite companion farewell, but it's definitely pretty high up on the list. It is really, really touching, really, really good, and really well acted by both of them. So it's a good story, just a bit of a weak ending. Number 4 on the list is The Deadly Assassin, and this one is overrated. This one is overrated. This is the weakest script Robert Holmes ever did for Doctor Who. Not the worst story, that would be The Power of Kroll, But when I say worst story, I mean everything. I'm talking just flat out script, because Power Crawl actually has a good script. It's just a bad execution. Deadly Assassin has a weak script. Well, I shouldn't say a weak script. It has what I consider Robert Holmes' weakest script in terms of what it does for Doctor Who and lore and all of that. Some of the realization of the script's not done perfectly either. Gallifrey just looks a little underwhelming. I get it's Classic Who budget, but the Target novelization really builds it up more. The way it talks about the Panopticon being so big. Think that big room Timothy Dalton's in at the end of time of part one. For the end of time itself, and it's just this huge room with a bunch of Time Lords. That's what the Panopticon is supposed to look like. That's the way Terrence Dicks describes it in the novelization. In the actual episode, it's a bit underwhelming when you go and watch it. It's not really that impressive. But again, it's classic Doctor Who. I do like the Castellan in this. This is easily my favorite of all the Castellans. This is the only one of the Castellans I actually really like. The others are just kind of scumbags. But I love this one. He's awesome. I really like him. He does help the story with me. I don't like what they did with the Master here because it doesn't really make sense to do it like that. I get they did it because they wanted whoever was coming in after him to be able to cast whoever they wanted. But it seems stupid to me because, one, he's a Time Lord. He can regenerate. You can recast him however you want. There's no reason to make him this practically a corpse just because of that, because you don't want a certain actor associated with it. Since Rogers passed away, I would have just recast another actor and say he's regenerated. And because you cast this version of the Master, this is the story that introduces the 12 regeneration limit. This is the one where they capped it off at 12. And I don't like the fact that that's fit into canon just to give an excuse for why the Master is so corpsey looking and not just regenerating. It's because he's reached the end of his regeneration cycle. So this is the story that screws all that up, which does actually counteract some things previously said in Doctor Who. Because the second Doctor had said they could live forever barring illness or injury. I don't like a lot of the political stuff going on in it. Doesn't quite work for me. There's actually a lot I could say on this one. I need to review the whole story at some point. But I don't hate the story by any means, and it does have a lot of good going on into it. It's just the things that frustrate me about the Deadly Assassin really frustrate me about the Deadly Assassin. The worst one is Deadly Assassin is the story that ruins the Time Lords. This is it. This is the story that just completely ruins them as a people. Just ruins the Time Lords. Because you look at the Time Lords in the war games, and they're basically gods almost with their powers. They can create force fields just by looking at people. They can create a force field around the planet just with a thought, basically. They are the highest of the Time Lords, at least, are almost godlike. And it makes sense in the Three Doctors why, when they are powers to stop Omega, you get just how big of a threat Omega is. So to me, they didn't really start being crappy until here. This is the story. This is the story that turns them from gods into people. Earthlings. Regular Earthlings bickering over silly little things. They're making jokes about sore hips. Oh, my hip's acting up. And you're a Time Lord. Regenerate. Oh, wait. You only have 12 regenerations now. Thanks, Deadly Assassin. Or you have the reporter, Runcible, who's just annoying. And again, you have the politicians who just act like human politicians, which is not a compliment. And then, this is also the episode that introduces those outfits that I hate, and it even mentions in Deadly Assassin that they're seldom worn outfits, and by seldom worn, it means you will see them in every Time Lord story ever until the end of time from here on out. Yes, I have serious issues with the Deadly Assassin. The things that piss me off about it really piss me off about it. Number 3 is Robots of Death. This story is also overrated, but it's still fantastic. By overrated, I mean I don't think it's one of the top 10 Doctor Who stories of all time, but it's really, really good. I really enjoy it. It's a nice Agatha Christie-style murder mystery. I really love the designs on it. The interior of the ships and the robots are done so well. And because of the style they chose for that, they have this kind of timeless quality to them that the story has aged well because of it. A lot of classic Who, the robots have aged kind of badly. Like, think of the robot from Robot, or even the robot from the Mysterious Planet. Trying to think of another robot right off the top of my head. It's there's another one I was trying to think of. It's not coming to me. But, you know, they look very kind of silly by today's standards. Whereas in the Robots from Death still look good. It still looks watchable because they went with this very Renaissance look. That's the best way I can think of it. You know, it does. It has this, you know, the ship doesn't look like a ship. It looks more like a house in places. You know, it does not like in the 70s when you had, in a lot of Doctor Who, when you have their idea of a 70s ship and you look at it and it goes, that's very dated. A lot of Robots of Death, the ship design holds up really well, just like the Robots design holds up really well. So I enjoyed that. I like the story. I like the characters. I don't quite get the one guy who has the fear of robots. It seems to kind of come out of nowhere and seems out of place when he sees the blood on the hand and he just kind of turns into a sniveling child, basically. That's a little weird. And then when you actually see the guy who's behind it all and he's dressed up like one of the robots. But, you know, I guess that's the point. He's kind of bonkers and nuts, and I guess that's what bonkers and nuts people do. So it kind of fits, even though it looks weird. And I like the one robot, the one that's not supposed to be able to talk and can talk, the one that calls the Doctor friend. I really like him. It is a really good story. And it deserves most of its reputation. I just think it's a little overrated, but it's good. And the robot design, I love that it just looks timeless. Number 2 on the list is The Face of Evil. Now this one's underrated. I love The Face of Evil. Great introduction story for Leela. I love Leela. She's one of my favorite companions. I love that Tom has a lot of good moments here. He's very humorous here. I like that bit when the arrow strikes and he's like, that was either a really good shot or a really bad. And then he's trying to shoo Leela away so she won't get seen. I like when he first meets her and she's like, the evil one. He's like, I do think that's overstating it a bit. And that's probably, and also this is probably my favorite, would you like a jelly baby? Of all the times when he asked about jelly babies, I think that was my favorite. Would you like a jelly baby? I think that could be my favorite one. I like it a lot. I like the one guy who's kind of like the shaman or whatever, the bald-headed one with the goatee. He seems like such a prick, but he ends up being kind of a hero at the end. I like him. I like the arc his story takes, because, you know, he's kind of one of those you think is going to be a problem for the Doctor, and he ends up being the Doctor's ally, and you don't really see that coming, and I really like that spin on it. I like the bit when the Doctor has to shoot the rope with the bow and arrow. That's pretty cool. The face itself in the mountain looks like a model. I personally think it looks better on the DVD front than it does. I went right to it. I think it looks better actually here than it does in the actual episode. In the actual episode, it looks less like Mount Rushmore and more like a model prop. And I don't know why that nitpicks at me, but it does. I do like the actual computer, how the computer looks like Tom. The way it does the effect of the computer looking like Tom. I like that kind of 70s colorization look it has. Looks really, really neat. I like how Tom kind of accidentally caused the problem there in the first place in the past, trying to help out. I like how he's kind of, you know, his past is kind of catching up with him here. And I like how he manages to fix and resolve everything. I really like The Face of Evil. It's just a really good story, and I feel like it doesn't get enough love. I'd rather watch The Face of Evil over Robots of Death most of the time. And number 1's on the list is Talons of Wing Chang. It's great. It's amazing. It's Robert Holmes being awesome the way Robert Holmes is. It's fantastic. I love the little Sherlock Holmes outfit he's wearing, and I love that the season 14 box set cover has him in his like Sherlock Holmes outfit. I love it. I don't have any issues with this story. I know some younger people have some issues with a few things in it. I think most of the people who have those kind of issues with the PC issues with it are probably younger than the episode is. I'm willing to bet all of them actually are younger than the episode is. None of that bothers me. A lot of that was simply stuff that was acceptable for the time. I really like this one. It's a strong story. It's a great, again, if you like Doctor Who meets Sherlock Holmes, I like it. Again, I like kind of Doctor Who historicals like that. It's a lot of fun there. I really like the villain there. Grill? I like Grill. I like the fact that they didn't make him the Master like Holmes originally wanted to. It would have fit considering the Master was in that kind of shape at the time. But I'm kind of glad they didn't, because I like Grill or whatever his name is. I like him as a villain on his own, and finding out just kind of what he's kind of like the Ronnie in the sense that it's all about the experiment, damn the consequences, and damn whoever gets hurt. And that it was him trying to do time travel that disfigured him like that and made him that weak. I love the fact that all of his experiments were for nothing too. Even the doctor tells him later it led him up led up a scientific cul-de-sac. Just to rub it in his face that all the stuff the guy did was for nothing, even though the guy wouldn't accept the truth. I like that. It's so good. Just go watch it. I really like the CGI version rat in it too. The rat looks better than the original rat, although I didn't mind the original rat. Just go watch Talons. Don't wait for me to tell you about it. It's one of the best Doctor Who stories ever written for a reason. Ignore anybody who whines about PC stuff on it. There's nothing wrong with it. It is highly regarded as one of the best Doctor Who stories for a reason, rightfully so. Go watch it. So that's my list of Season 14. What do you think of Season 14? How do you rank them? What do you think of Talons? Do you think it holds up well today in 2021? Most Doctor Who fans do seem to think it does. Comment down below. I always enjoy interacting with you guys and finding out what you think about these things. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click that bell for notifications. Most importantly, though, stay safe out there. And thank you for watching.